up and pan around and show everybody these beautiful faces we got out here. Go, yay! Woo! Okay. So we got quite a few questions and a couple from the audience today. We'll knock them out all at one time.
Beautiful. Yeah, we got 12 from the Gold Club and a couple from the audience.
Fire away. And I got Jay here, so I got plenty of backup.
All right. So first one that we've got, if you'll believe it or not, is Tony and Angie Stewart over in Ohio.
Amazing.
Yep. And
they're first every week.
They asked if the finding quality leads and structuring your empire event that you have coming up are going to be, if they're new virtual courses or an update to the courses that they already own.
Yes.
So are they continuations or are they updates?
Well, a lot of it's got to be in the courses that already exist, and then some of it's going to come from new stuff and new people. I intend to interview some students and see what they're doing. This will be one of them right here on that, but it's a combination of both. So, you know, if you got something to do, Tony, just go ahead and do it. I don't need your presence to do this thing. Just saying.
All right. Next one is from them as well. Tony and Angie said they did a search on the Gold Club and did not see anything on deed to escrow.
Deed to escrow. I don't even know what that means.
They said, I heard from one of your mentors that they put a deed in escrow with a promise to hand back the deed to the seller if they missed a payment. This was to get past their concerns about a subject to. Could you speak on this strategy?
Okay, so I'm buying it and I'm doing this for the seller. Well, I would not do that. And you don't do that when if you want to sell with owner financing, you don't want to take a deed from the buyer if they don't make the payments, because it's unenforceable anyway. It's a deed under duress. Now, if I'm giving it back to the seller to make them feel comfortable, that's kind of dangerous. They could record that thing anytime they want to, and I don't see any reason to do it. And if you had to do that, it just means that you're not there yet on handling their objections. My answer to them would be, when they try to say how I know you're going to make the payments, do you have any reason to believe that I'm not? Because frankly, if you don't think I'm going to make the payments, you shouldn't sell me the house. Wouldn't you agree? That's exactly what I'd say. And then shut up and let them answer. And that's the end of it. Right there. If they're giving me a lip, I'll say, well, listen, I'm going to do what I say. Can I count on you to do what you say?
Good question.
Perfect.
And that's what you teach all the time, Ron, is when somebody asks you a question, you answer it and follow up with a question.
I heard that works.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I know maybe in the beginning this might be tough for you folks, but I'm telling you, I'm not taking any crap from these folks. I'm trying to buy their house. I don't need to make excuses. I don't need to justify anything. If they don't want to sell me the house, then I'll move on.
Easy enough.
Who are they going to sell it to now? I don't know.
Exactly.
I'll tell you right now, when they know that you're just not going to go in there and beg for their house, their whole attitude changes.
All right, perfect. Next one that we've got is Jeremy Cepress out of Texas. He asked, Ron, what credit repair company do you recommend using?
That's easy.
Easy. Yeah, so for credit repair, in fact, we've been using this same credit repair company since 2010. And the name of the company is screenthetenant.com. The owner is Paul Ritter. They're based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they service the entire nation. And they'll do credit repair for anybody. Average increase in credit score is 85 points over 6 months. That's an average. But he is the only service provider of credit repair that I know of that will actually dispute all the negative items on the credit report, instead of a lot of credit repair companies will only dispute one line item per month because they want to keep you paying for as long as you can. Very reputable company, screenthetenant.com.
Lousy $50 for you to send your client there, and 6 months at $99 if they want to get their credit cleaned up.
All right, and then these next couple questions are long ones, so you guys bear with me.
Or shorten them up and speak up.
Okay.
This
This one is from Trevor Wilcox in West Virginia. He said, hey Ron, I was watching a YouTube videos of yours, and you had mentioned that when you put up pointer signs to the property with a phone number on it, that the phone number rings to your answering service, Pat Live. Now they answer 6 questions. What are those 6 questions that Pat Live is answering or asking?
Actually, we just went over that here in the class.
If you were to be able to get here, all that's in print for you. So 6 questions, that means we're talking to a seller.
I think the buyer. Was it a
yes.
seller or buyer?
This would be the buyer.
The buyer for rent to
Okay.
own.
Well, first question is, do you want to buy or do you want to rent? Because that might eliminate the rest of the call. And then I frankly, I just want to know what's the most they can put down and what's the most they can pay per month. And then, of course, if they call about a particular house, we'll talk about that one. If I don't know what house they're calling on, then I'm going to have to ask them that. Which house are you calling on? Well, first of all, Pat Live is asking these questions. So I'm not calling them if I don't like their answers. They got no money. There's no reason for me to call them. But if I do call them, then obviously I'm going to work on, is that the most money you can get? Is that the most you can pay per month? Because right now, that's all I care about. But that's all on my script in my book.
Okay, perfect. This one is from
Speak
Trevor
up,
Wilcox
Luke.
again.
Speak up.
Sorry. This one is from Trevor Wilcox again in West Virginia. He said, when you place bandit signs and pointer signs at a house that you're looking to lease option, what do the sign read? Are you saying something along the lines of rent to own, no banks, no credit checks? In my experience, the general population gets confused on what a rent to own / lease option really is.
That's a fairly decent question.
That is a good question.
Answer it.
Yep. Well, first of all, Trevor, if you were here in this room, it's up, the answer's in the manual as well. And we have example signs, but let's answer the question. One phrase that we love on these signs, it says lease purchase. It could say rent to own, but we want to say home. So if it's a pointer sign, we don't want them to assume these are rent to own tires. This is a rent to own home. So lease purchase home. Another phrase we really, really like is no bank qualifying. It's a great phrase, no bank qualifying. Another phrase we like on there is ugly credit okay. But you don't want much on these signs. You typically don't want more than 2 lines. Lease purchase home, no bank qualifying, and the phone number great big. You want it easy to read. You want it to look handwritten, because quite frankly, as long as it's legible, the uglier it is, the better it works. Pretty doesn't sell.
And it would probably be a good idea if the arrow is pointing toward the house.
That's a good idea.
And I don't do mine. I think it's in the book. It says the headline needs to say lease purchase
Yep.
or rent to own.
Yep.
I'm told that rent to own works better for the low cheap houses. Lease purchase works better when you get above that. I don't know which one's true. I've never tested them.
And I've done both.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Mine says lease purchase. No. What does it say? It's in the book. No bank.
No bank
no credit
qualifying.
or no banks. Now, no bank qualifying is too long to put on that sign.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just put no credit, no banks, or something like that.
Okay, perfect.
That's what gets them to call you. Those 2 unique selling propositions right there.
This one is from Trevor again. He said, I buy a couple properties a month via the Burr method, which I
the
know
Burr
you're not a
method.
fan of. However, I have to pass on many deals because the amount of rehab that is needed on the properties. My question to you, Ron, is could I sell a property rent to own that isn't in freshly remodeled condition that still needs some work?
Yes, you can, but get here, because I'm not going to do a seminar on that right now. That's called work for equity. I probably should put that on my list and do one on it. I have a whole course on it. But tenant does all the work with their labor and their money in exchange for a discount in the price, and they pay rent while they're doing it. A non-refundable deposit, same as usual, except they're doing the work. But that has to be disclosed up front that it's a work for equity deal, okay? You don't want to send somebody out to a house and they think it's pretty, and all of a sudden they walk in and it needs work. That's a whole business right there in itself. And one of my favorite exit strategies, when we buy on terms, not when I pay cash for a house. Because if I put a work for equity tenant buyer in a house, I'm not going to get cashed out. So keep that in mind. They're just not going to do the work and go get financed, in my experience.
Okay, perfect. The next question is also from Trevor. He said, I've got 3 properties that I'm selling rent to own right now, but I just got off the phone with one prospective tenant/buyer that asked me a question that stumped me. He asked if I would just sell the house outright to him. So my question to you,
It'd be a
Ron.
hard question for me, Trevor. Yeah. You got the money? Yeah, I'll take it.
He's,
what do we need to do? Have a committee meeting about this?
Well, he's
Trevor, you
asking.
can always go replace the house. You can't replace the cash. Take the money.
And run.
Well, I guess that makes his question obsolete. But
Good.
he was asking, do you require a minimum period of time to pass before the tenant buyer is allowed to exercise their option to purchase?
I don't care if they exercise 2 days after I put them in the house, but that is a myth. That ain't gonna happen, okay? You keep asking me basic questions, Trevor. You need to get your butt in the boot camp. And if it's been a while since you've been, come on back, man. These are questions that should already be answered in your mind, especially if you already got houses.
All right, perfect. This one is from Jeremy Cepress in Texas. He said, hey Ron, Jeremy out of Texas here. Can you explain what a list pendens is, and are they good leads?
So, AKA foreclosures. So you've got a house that's going into foreclosure, and they are some of the very best leads. I mean, talk about motivation. They're behind on their payments, and they need debt relief. And so, in fact, that's a big market of sellers that we actually direct mail to every day, every week.
Which he specializes in with a whole sequential mailing campaign. List pendens means foreclosure has been filed.
Perfect. All right, the next question is from Arturo here in Florida. He asked, what kind of legal problems can you run into if you are a licensed real estate agent when investing in real estate using strategies such as wholesaling, leasing, terms, etc.?
Well, the answer is none if you comply with the law, because none of that has to do with your license, except the fact that you have to disclose that you have a license. And if you're going to do public advertising, like run ads, it has to be in there that you are licensed. That's it. And it really don't, it's more of the, well, it is the law. It is the law concerning licensing rules. But no, you don't need a license to buy properties for your own use.
Okay. And then he followed that up and asked, how do you handle that with your broker that you're working with?
Well, if you went through real estate school, you should know the rules. And you need to make sure your broker knows what you're doing. That doesn't mean he or she has to get paid. On the other hand, they are responsible for you as a licensee under their license. So if they want some kind of remuneration, that wouldn't bother me, but they're not gonna, there is no commission, so they can't get part of the commission. And again, that depends on, you know, some brokers will give you an office space, I think like that. Or you're gonna get freebies from the broker. You gotta expect to pay for them no matter what you do with their space.
Perfect. All right, our next question is from Robert Straker in Oregon. He asked, isn't the affiliate program kind of like multi-level marketing? I ask because I have trouble getting people signed up for the program, saying it is nothing but multi-level marketing.
Well, I've been in multi-level marketing, but that means that there is multi-levels, and that's not true. You simply get a commission if you put a link in front of somebody and they come to our site and they buy something. It's just that simple. Nobody below you is going to get paid.
Perfect. All right, next question is from Michael Dam. He's asking, Ron, I'm looking for an attorney in Memphis, Tennessee / North Mississippi area to assist with signing lease options for my tenant buyers. Any recommendations?
No. You have to do what everyone else does. Start asking the people around you, with the people in the industry especially, and start with investors if you know any, because they probably are, well, that's assuming they have an attorney. A lot of them are not smart enough to have an attorney. Do their closings, they'll pay the price sooner or later. But it ain't hard to find a real estate closing attorney. Ask agents that deal with investors. And if all that fails, go to Google. God bless Google. I don't know how we get on without it.
I don't know how we live without it.
When I fix my cars, every time I don't know how to do something, I ask Google. There it is right in front of me. Okay? So you call them and just put it in there. Real estate closing attorney in Memphis or whatever. Here come a list of them. You just start calling them and making sure they do what you want them to do, which is nothing more than close seller financing deals, close subject to deals, and close tenant by lease options on the other end. That's all there is to it. In other words, talk to people. That's where you're going to get your best referrals.
Then you also just did a training on the Golf Club on that too.
I did?
I'll make sure to leave that link for you, Mike.
If that was more than 3 days ago, I don't remember.
All right, next one is from Robert Straker in Oregon again.
Okay.
He says, hello, Ron. As a
Hello.
relatively new Gold Club member, I wanted to know if it was a good idea to take the online commercial property virtual real estate course, just because I'm pretty new to the pretty house terms business. Can you please comment on this?
I don't have an online commercial course anymore because I will not teach it online. You want that, you're going to have to come to Jacksonville and do it in person where you'll actually get some benefit out of it. And I'm sure there are some online commercial courses, but I think your question is, should I do commercial and single family at the same time? And the answer is, it's entirely up to you. You need to get into single family and get some cash flow coming in and get your business built. But you can't ride around all day without seeing commercial opportunities once you can spot them. So it doesn't hurt you to learn as fast as you can learn. And of course, you're not going to take it all in. Every time you go to a class, you're not going to get it all anyway. But you got to know it's out there. You got to be able to know it exists when you run across those kind of opportunities. Now, this class, they have absorbed everything that I've said this week, and they're about to get a test, and they're going to pass it all 100%. Right?
Amen.
All right.
Or not.
All right, and then our last Gold Club question here is from Robert Straker again.
Okay.
He said, years ago there used to be real estate conventions that came through the Northwest area.
Yeah, I know.
That featured many different real estate experts speaking and selling their particular programs. Will you be offering something like this in the future so that we can attend and see what there is?
We offered them right up until 2008. We did them once a year all over the country. Not done one since, and because of the market, and it's just so much harder to get people to come to them, and the expenses are tremendous on those things because you got to pay all of it up front, and it's just too risky, frankly. And as far as a profit center, there ain't much profit in it because the expenses suck it all up by the time you're done. So I have no plans to do it now. And I don't know anybody else doing it now, really. But who knows what's going to happen in the future? I think it's going to depend on the market.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And then another thing that I saw on the Gold Club Ask Ron forum is a lot of them were concerned because you were a little bit sick last week, a little bit under the weather, and we had to reschedule that wholesaling event.
Dead.
Well, no, they just wanted to.
Hey, Kurus get sick too, man.
They just wanted to get feeling better, and
I already rescheduled it and done it.
Yeah, did it last Saturday. All right, and then last couple questions we have is asked actually from the beautiful audience here at the Quick Start.
All right.
So first one is
Qualified.
if my LLC is the trustee of my land trust, how do I set up the LLC to maintain anonymity?
You will not maintain anonymity anymore. You've got a law now that says you got to report the owners of the LLC, and if you already have one set up, you better get it done by this year, the end of this year. And if you're setting one up, you got to do it immediately. So it's just part of the process of setting it up. And if you don't, it starts with a $5,000 fine.
Okay, perfect. And then the last one I have for you, Ron, is do you ever feel bad selling on a lease purchase, knowing that most people will never make it work and lose their deposit?
That's actually a good question. And the answer is no, because I give them every opportunity I can and beyond to buy, but I can't make them go clean up their credit or whatever their problem is. I can't make them do any of that. If they don't have the initiative to do that, maybe it's not time for them to buy, as far as I'm concerned, especially when I'm holding thousands of dollars of their money that they know they're not going to get back if they don't buy. So I can't be responsible for the lack of initiative from the population. It might have bothered me for about a week, but I got over it. Yeah.
Well, and you just said an important word, Ron, and that's the word responsible. people have got to be responsible for their own life, for their own actions, and you can't be responsible for them.
No, can't make them do anything. He used to repair the house, lease option it out, give him a year and a half to go get qualified, but he had to babysit them the whole way, do half the work for them, and push them like a bulldozer to get to that point, and then only 80% of them got qualified, even
Right.
after all of that.
Right.
So you know, you got to wonder why won't, I don't know. Well, actually things happen, you know, that they wouldn't buy regardless. Divorce, illness, loss of job, whatever. You know, human things happen. But most of the time it's just plain old pure laziness on their part.
True.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Something like that.
I've never been able to make a horse do anything.
And you've had them.
Yeah. All they do is eating crap. So sorry, horse owners. I was only kidding.
All right, awesome. Well, that's all that I have for you.
Did you get their questions?
Yep.
That was
the last two.
Those
Okay.
two were them. Do
All
you?
right. Well, all right. See you guys next week.
All right,
Go
perfect.
get something done.